You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 76 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name's Kyle.
My name's Corey.
And I'm still James.
Still, that hasn't changed yet?
Nope, 41 years strong.
There was a big push for Jimmy back in the day, but just didn't fly.
Didn't take.
Nope.
That's fake news.
You didn't see the petition, man.
Yeah, one name. That's not a petition.
Yeah, one name, Jimmy.
All right, guys. So what's going on? How you guys been?
Oh, dude, it was such a good week for me in Star Warsing toys.
Star Warsing toys.
Yeah.
Can you spell that, please?
Well, I meant Star Warsing, and then anyway, whatever. Such a good week in Star Warsing. I got my chopper and my callus, which I sent you. I was so stoked about that. And then it was like, oh man, the other day I went to go get some soil for the garden, a few things for the garden, and then, man, I walk into that. This is like the honey hole. This is where I find all the best stuff at the store for Star Wars toys. I can't believe this. It's Valleyfield. That means nothing to the common listener, but to you guys, come on. How is this place it's always got the stuff today I'm looking for, kind of, And they had the Black Series figures that were, we're always talking about, we're always trying to look for $29, $29.99 regularly, marked down to $10. I was like, is this a joke? I grabbed a few, went to the scanner, boop, boop, boop. Oh my God. They're $10. Luckily I had some restraint and I only bought 3, but yeah, I got to get back there quickly because that was awesome. I couldn't believe it.
You were with Nancy?
No, I was by myself. I just went to go get some gardening stuff in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah, I was happy to get the courtesy call after he had left.
No. This is. I love how he throws me under the bus like that in the TSW VIP room. The fact of the matter is, I called him. He didn't pick up his phone. So then I'm just like, okay, I'm out of here. Then as soon as I get in my car, I text him. I'm like, hey, listen to this news. Then I'm already onto the highway. He calls me about a minute after receiving my text. What's going on? $10? I'm just like, he's like, are you still in the store? I was like, no. And then later he's like, not even a courtesy call. I was like, you prick.
Hey, aren't you the guy that said, yeah, I'm heading back there after?
That was a maybe, but I'll be going back. I'm not too worried that they had some duplicate stuff there. Even Sabine and Ahsoka, oh man, I didn't even get to go through all of them, to be honest. I just saw my Krennic. I saw the Death Squad Trooper. He was the only one that I saw, so grabbed him, snapped up a Kylo, finally. But $10, man, my God, you can't go wrong for that price. It's the regular crappy card backs, the non-opposable ones.
That's 3 3/4 price. That's the price point at which you buy some Black Series stuff and you don't care if the kids open them, play with them, break them, lose the pieces.
Exactly. Even for me,
that price, who cares?
I'm thinking of getting Sabine and Ahsoka in triplicate, just so whatever. Take one out of the box, whatever.
Cool. Anyway, next time, give me a shout.
Yeah, I'll come pick you up if I have to. Let's go together, man. There's all kinds of stuff there. They had the 20-inch Kanan Jarrus for $5. So I was like, my son already has one, but dude, you can't go wrong at that price.
Yeah, no, you cannot go wrong at that price. You also can't go wrong by heading over to carloscandido.com and checking out his Kickstarter campaign to support his debut studio album. I think there's still about a week and change left for you to go over there and make a pledge. And I know a bunch of the Star Wars Commonwealth listeners and friends did so. So thanks to everybody who did support Carlos. I know we also threw our support in the ring.
Yeah, good move, everyone.
Yeah, definitely virtual fist bumps across the board for everybody. And if you haven't, get over there and make a pledge. And you don't want to be that guy who, if things don't go through and you go, damn, if I had made that pledge, it would have worked out. Don't be that guy. Get over there and add your name to the list of people who are going to give this project wings.
Yeah, honestly, like, I think Carlos, again, has got to get this off his chest, man. Like, it's going to be an awesome album, an inspired album, and whoa. You okay there, James?
Was it me? That was the boss, maybe.
Kyle?
Yeah, that was my cat.
Spray him. Spray him with a bottle.
Spray him like a skunk.
Anyway, Carlos, you're the man. Everybody.
Carlos is the man.
Yeah, I want to hear this thing, so come on.
All right, well, let's get into some actual Star Wars news here. It's what the people pay good money for.
Let's do it.
All right, so if you wanted more Han Solo images, you got them. They came via TMZ and Making Star Wars. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing a very industrial and grimy movie so far. Is that what you're thinking?
That's a good way of putting it. Industrial was kind of a way to put it. I was trying to look for words in the sense of like almost like George Lucas's old stuff in a way, you know?
I think this even goes. I think it's deconstructing Lucas's stuff even further. Like it's taking that aesthetic and bringing it back even further, if that's even possible.
No, it totally makes sense about what Kathleen Kennedy said about the movie being like a Western heist, kind of.
Like, space Western is what it looks like. It looks like a lot of. First of all, it looks like we're going to get a lot of on-location stuff, and which is good. I think we all agreed over and over again that we prefer that. And secondly, I agree that like it looks like space Western big time in a lot of the shots and a lot of the visuals we're seeing.
I love that. I think that's great, man.
So we saw a shot of this. Well, first of all, we saw a shot of Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and it looked like he was wearing a big black cloak to conceal his costume. But what's underneath is not the typical Han Solo gear. Looks like a white coat or vest, and he looks pretty dinged up.
Yeah, I have the same thing in my notes here too. I'm totally interested in that jacket. I'm thinking a lot of people were under the impression that he'd be just typically wearing his old Han Solo stuff. And I think we've already seen, maybe was it concept art of him wearing the old stuff? So that's not necessarily true. It's just concept art. But I think you had mentioned in the past as well, James, that this jacket could be, and again, I think you said you didn't really want it, like a passing of the torch kind of deal. Like kind of what Finn or Poe did to Finn with the jacket, and kind of like Indiana Jones getting his hat, like falling into the jacket, that becoming his jacket by the end. But
if it happens, then I'll claim for sure that I called it. Yeah. But if I like it or not, yeah, I think I like it. I don't know, as long as it's not too. Any of this stuff like has the potential to be really cheesy, right? When you do a prequel, when you do like a tell a story of a character that's well known. And you're going to throw Easter eggs in as to like, why this and why that, and give, like you said, like, is he really a Nerf herder? Like that could be funny, but that could be cheesy too. All this stuff sort of depends on.
There's so much tongue in cheek,
good writing, and yeah,
that's just fodder for that everywhere, and like all these movies now. And I think this movie, I think they said they decided to, it's going to have quite a comical note as well, which most Star Wars does for the most part, but.
Yeah, the term now is fan service, right?
Yeah,
we take it from it's not cheesy, it's fan servicey.
Well, but there's a fine line between like.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They neighbor each other, the fan serviceville and Cheesetown.
Yeah, like having Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan in Rogue One. Is that fan service or is that cheesy? I think it's cheesy. But other people go, no, that was really cool. I think that was a pretty neat little nod to the OT.
At the time, seeing it live in theater was interesting. Like everybody had a reaction to that, seeing it the first time, which was interesting. But yeah, looking back on it in the movie as a whole now, it's again, you had said it once, like what, did they just get off jet oil like right after and just escape the blast?
They had to have been like heading to their ship. Anyway, that pod car that's what they're being called. The one that has a very distinct like 70s muscle car vibe to it. That looks pretty cool. That's going to be a pretty cool little either model or toy to pick up.
Oh, hell yeah. Toy and I didn't even think of that. That just popped in my head. Holy cow. For real, eh?
I imagine that's going to be one of the very first toys to hit the shelves. Like the young Han Solo in his white jacket with this blue hot rod muscle car looking thing. It reminds me of a 70s era Dodge Charger or a late 60s Camaro.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty interesting.
Yeah, Charger's a good call.
You know,
it's that big open front end.
It's kind of funny. I was actually this afternoon, once it had started raining in the later afternoon, I was kind of cooking dinner and looking at the show notes as well, and I found in one of my DVD boxes an unopened DVD of Ninja Turtles, like the original series, and it was like the original first episodes. So the car kind of reminded me of do you remember the Neutrinos car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost a bit like that.
That's true. That's true. I'm looking at this and thinking, this is clearly going to be some sort of racing vehicle with the stripe and everything. And Mark had mentioned at TSW that smugglers during Prohibition and stuff like that. And there was a series on, I don't know if it was A&E or Discovery, about how smugglers. No, I think maybe it was Top Gear, the American one. They hollowed out a bunch of muscle cars and they just made like storage in these cars for like running bootleg liquor. And they would tweak these cars to make them a little more speedy and a little more agile. And that's how running booze got done back in the days. They would just run these hot rods all over the place.
Well, that's
I wonder if that's exactly what's going to happen here. I thought, me and Mark often seem to be on the same page. So I wonder if we're going to see Han Solo smuggling in a hot rod that would be perfect in my mind.
I don't know, because I kind of looked at the set photos, like, I kind of had the same idea. I'm like, okay, something maybe to do with smuggling, but right away the first image and the first gut feeling I get is like a hot rod. Like it's young brash Han, I hope it's race affiliated. It could have to do something with smuggling, but I'd
rather it be smuggling than racing, frankly.
Yeah, but it could have to be the same thing at the same time, like Han maybe chasing some smugglers, but when you look at further set photos or other ships on set, those other ships seem more conducive to being smuggling ship because there's actually like cargo space on them. Like this race, that muscle car that we were talking about at the moment, it really looks solely designed for speed. Like I had a look at it after I heard you guys speaking about the smuggling thing, and I'm looking at it, and there's 2 seats, and that's at it. It just looks like all muscle, all get up and go. So maybe to intercept a cargo shipment, maybe, but not.
Look, it could have a big fat trunk, no?
Maybe, but what are you hauling? I mean, it depends. It all depends on the cargo, right? If you want to haul a couple of Nerfs,
spice, he's hauling spice,
whatever it is.
Well, there's another image that shows sort of the back end of it, and maybe it doesn't have much of a trunk, but who knows? Like for sure, this thing is built for speed, so.
Yeah, it looks like a rat rod almost.
A rat rod?
Yeah.
Explain what a rat rod is.
Well, it's like like what a nice looking hot rod is. These ones are just like taken from the grave and put back together, but they're meant to look like old and cobbled together kind of, although the structural integrity's there and they're powerful and all that. They're kind of just like a mishmash kind of,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I got from these other vehicles. Like that wedge-shaped thing, and then there's that piece with the big, huge unit on the back end. Like, what is that? It looks like something out of MASH, kind of. No idea what that's about. Those to me look like mercenary type vehicles, and I guess smugglers fall under that umbrella as well.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of looking, because I said, well, those ones at least look like they have a bit of storage space, you know? They can be hauling some valuable cargo. But again, it all depends on how big your cargo is. If it could be, you know, it's not a kyber crystal, I hope, in this film, but, you know, you just put that in your pocket, get up and go, you know? Like, that's the car you would need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's the images over at MSW. And the sense I get from this, again, is that the Empire has more of a presence in this movie than maybe we think.
Yeah, I wonder if the Empire's role will be more, like, even though prevalent on screen for us, or like, you know, important on screen for us, it may not affect directly Han Solo. Like, he may not be aware of what's going on at all. For some reason, I don't think he's going to be battling straight up with the Empire, even though they may be showing us sort of, you know, behind the scenes what's going on.
And yeah, I have to totally agree with that. And to that point, some of the Imperial images we've seen at this point, and one of them was on the MSW website. The Orabesh has been translated, and it says Imperial checkpoint. So I said it last episode, I think the Empire will be involved, although I don't want them to be, nor do I see them as being the main antagonist in this. Like, at one point, they will be involved, yes. Like, they're everywhere, you know? It's, like, think of Cassian and Rogue One right at the beginning, you know? It's like, hey there, what's going on here, you know? Like, something, they gotta be involved somehow. They're gonna have to get by the Empire to get to the grander scheme of their plan, if you will.
Well, yeah, you think about Harrison Ford in A New Hope when Obi-Wan asks him, you know, let's just say we'd like to avoid any Imperial entanglements. And Han Solo has that sneer and says, well, that's the real trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
It almost feels like this movie might tell us exactly what that real trick is. Like, the Empire just could be, they might be all over him at some point in the movie before he and his clan get away. Or again, it doesn't take much, right? We can see a bunch of set photos and they all look very Imperial in nature, but it could only be for a short segment in the movie. Like, many people now think that maybe the prologue of the movie is Han escaping the Empire. So, who knows? I mean, you'd still get a bunch of different locations that would need to be built, even for a short prologue type scene to kick the movie off. But anyway, some of those pictures, clearly Imperial in nature. And so, anyway, I'm not, of all the set photos we've seen, I can't say that I'm super jazzed up about what I'm seeing. I'm not disappointed, but it's still really the cast that has me really flying high about this movie. I don't know how you guys fall on this.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, not even the cast. Like, I still have great faith in what many people have said at this point in regards to the script. And in my head, too, the potential storyline for this movie, like, there's so much that needs to be crammed into this movie. I don't think they should take the route of Han Solo trilogy, like, you know, 1, 2, 3. I don't think that's right. Again, we said it again in the past. Maybe if they did it in the future, who knows? But to do that right off the bat, I don't think it's a good idea. What do you think, James?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think a Han Solo trilogy could be a bit much. I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind seeing him pop up in more than one movie. But to do a dedicated Han Solo trilogy, I think is overkill.
Yeah, we could do the touch upon. This is one of the greatest things I think you ever said, Kyle, was the touch upon trilogy, where it's like what's the one that's out there now that's actually going to be completed by M. Night Shyamalan, where you have Unbreakable and Split have now been confirmed to be Split is a sequel to Unbreakable, and he's going to be completing that trilogy with another film shortly.
Is Split associated with Unbreakable?
Yeah, it's just M. Night Shyamalan came out and said it. It's the sequel, and he's going to make a trilogy out of it.
How are they related? Like, is there a common character, or is it just
I have not seen
just
Split.
because he said so?
He said
Okay.
so, but I don't know. I haven't seen Split, so I can't really tell you. But I know there's a few people on Twitter talking about it that think it's genius. So
Well, there's a lot of people also that don't want. They still, despite everything, do not want this Han Solo movie being made at all. They just think it's totally unnecessary. In the same way that I feel like I never ever want to see a Yoda origin in any way. Those people feel the same way about Han Solo. But just don't demystify his past. We don't need to do that. But obviously, others feel differently.
yeah, it's because he's so cool, like I've read so many comments in these forums, and again, like they're all so negative. You get the few, everybody's back and forth sticking up for it, but there's so many trolls out there just be like, their points are so bold. You know what I mean? Like some people have blind faith, I get that, but some
You?
yeah, but I still keep my ear to the ground, and I can be honest with myself and telling if I don't like something.
Which never happens.
That's not true. Like, I don't know if you listened to the Sith Disturbers last week, but we took a pretty solid dump on AOTC.
That we did. All right. Well, anyway, Han Solo's shaping up. It looks. I'm definitely on the enthusiastic side. I'll say that much.
I am too, but like you said, Kyle, I'm the most exciting news for me has been cast news.
Yeah, I'll add to that
the
and
set
say
stuff
cast
and
and
location stuff. Yeah, it has, and the shots we're getting are cool, but the cast news is far and away the most exciling.
But like,
I'll add crew to that as well.
But
right,
can you add, if you're saying cast, okay, crew, and I get that, but like when you say cast, can you say characters as well? In the sense that you now have Woody as a character that's his mentor, and that you have Lando that's back in the fray as Danny Glover. Like, but just having Lando back in that story, it means a whole multitude of things. Like, you're going to look at that scene in Empire in a whole new way. The next time they see each other, it's like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the first time since the end of this movie, or wherever the last time they touch base in this movie is going to be the first time they touch base again is going to be in Empire, where you see, like, Han's kind of like, yeah, I think we're still friends, like. So that story's going to be so interesting. Like, Han's going to kind of, like, screw him, but he's going to kind of probably deserve it. And it's just going to come full circle. And, like, he doesn't know how he's going to be received, Like, he walks up to Lando, and Lando's about, like, you got a lot of nerve, Like, and he's just, like, almost throws a punch at him, And, like, Han's like, I kind of deserve it.
No, I'm on board. But it's to me, it's about the talent involved and not necessarily who they're playing. Like, if Donald Glover was involved, but he wasn't playing Lando, I would still be really excited.
Just as this movie gets closer, I just realized we should add to the kitty every time someone calls Donald Danny. It should be $2 in the kitty. It's gonna happen.
True, eh? I did call him Danny.
You did?
I think I did at the beginning. I might have.
I didn't even notice. That's not why I said it, but we can check the tape.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I did.
When I do the post on the show, I'll let you guys know.
I'm having a flashback. I'm pretty sure I said Danny.
Maybe we can bump the kangaroo court up to $12.
Starting
we're gonna
now.
we're gonna retroactively do it.
I can't wait to start swearing through this episode. Starting now.
It'd be really easy just to mute you completely.
Yeah. I'll figure some way to mess this up.
All right, so moving on, a Japanese advertisement is promising that The Last Jedi will have the most shocking truth in Star Wars history. Now, is this, James, I'll ask you first, is something lost in translation? Is this good old hype, or did someone spill the beans too early?
I think this is clearly lost in translation. It's advertisement.
Got it. I'm going to write that down. Got it.
I think it's just hype. I think it's just, I mean, how the most compelling, more than I Am Your Father? Like,
well, that's just it, right? Jeez.
It's a pretty high bar.
It's a high bar. It's a really high bar. I mean, it's in the piece that carried the story. They said there's other ways to read this and translate it, so it could be any number of these things. But we're just going to play with it here. Jeez, if you set out from the beginning, if you're Ryan Johnson and you come at it saying, "Watch this, guys, hold my beer, I'm gonna top. I'm Luke, I'm your father." If that's your mindset going in, and I'm not saying Ryan Johnson tackled the story this way, but if you're going out saying, "I'm gonna top this, just watch," like, what's more likely, that you're bound to disappoint or that you're bound to go too far?
Well, I think the main thing is to I want to ask you guys, before even having made The Force Awakens, they had at least a skeletal structure to this trilogy that they're creating right now. I would think they're not just going, well, we got one movie lined up and we're just going to play it by ear and go from there. Granted, the story again has most likely changed since the advent of The Force Awakens and its premiere and how it was received, but I think in general they had some kind of general direction of where they wanted to go, right? I don't think it's all Ryan Johnson.
In the vaguest of senses, because I think Ryan Johnson's made it pretty clear that this movie is all him, and he got to be as creative and independent as he's been on any of his other movies. I don't know if the idea that we're going to see, the themes we'll see in the movie, he pitched way back when they started talking about The Force Awakens. I guess we'll find out, but back to my original question. If you're trying to top the bar of Luke, I Am Your Father, like, are you going to disappoint the masses, or are you going to go too far and lose the crowd? Where do you guys fall on this one?
I'm going to quote two of my favorite people, actually. One being Yoda, saying, "Do or do not, there is no try." And if he does set out to try, that's fine. But then you leave yourself in your predicament, Kyle. It has to feel, as my good friend Stephen Gio says, natural and organic. It has to make sense to this story. There's got to be a flow to it. It can't feel forced or pressured onto us. It could be a big bomb, and who knows how we're going to receive it, but it should make sense to this story at least, not being like, huh? Really? Like,
well, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with that. I like how you said it shouldn't be forced. Every time you say forced, I giggle on the Star Wars podcast. But yeah, I think you got to be careful. I think the reason that I Am Your Father worked so well is because no one was expecting anything to be topped or to come out of left field or be a big shock. It just was. And so to try to outdo it now, it's like, oh, that, I see what they tried to do there. Like, they're doing that to try to one up. Like,
I think
that's the danger of forcing it, right? Like,
I think the one-upsmanship, I think, is a very, very slippery slope.
Yeah.
But in the same right, I think since the beginning of this podcast, I could firmly say that I think we're all on the same page in the sense that we've all been expecting some kind of reveal, some Empire-esque reveal in this movie. Like,
sure. But we're coming at it now from the most shocking truth in Star Wars history. That's a big proclamation to make.
I agree. There's something lost in translation, but the translation words kind of still come out roughly close to the same thing. But yeah, there's definitely a lot going on there, man. It's interesting. And what could those things be? Do you guys have any theories as to what could be more shocking than Vader?
I don't know. Like, everybody says the first thing you go to is Rey's parents or Rey's origin. And then after that, it's who is Snoke? But what could be bigger? Like, I tend to think that if something's going to be bigger, it's out of the left field. It's something that nobody sees coming, and that's kind of where I think the danger area is. Because I think the three things that I just mentioned is sort of the, well, yeah, we thought that was coming, we knew a twist had to be related to those people. But if you come out of left field, that's where my fear has always been. Again, Ryan Johnson trying to be too smart for everybody, trying to be too cute, too clever. I think that's the part where maybe you can lose a lot of people saying, I can't even imagine what could be so shocking that's not related to those three people that just comes out of the blue and punches us all right in the jaw. I have no idea. I couldn't even venture a guess.
The only things that when I think big shocking reveal, or the fact that Luke's on Act 2 searching ancient knowledge, so it could have possibly be with some kind of ancient truth that just again turns his world upside down.
Yeah, but what could that be? That's fine. That's probably what Luke's doing on Act 2, but if you can put your finger on exactly what that ancient truth is, well, you win the prize.
Well, that's right. That's what kind of would have written the exact same thing beside Rey's lineage, right? Rey's lineage, you bring that to the table. What does that bring to the table? Like,
but what is Rey's lineage? What would be so shocking about Rey's lineage that it tops I Am Your Father?
Exactly, yeah. The only thing that I've ever played in my head, and I still don't know how I feel about it, is The Boys from Brazil, that article we read over the summer, I think it was last summer. The clone theory that she could be either a reincarnation of the Force or somehow a Skywalker through DNA or creation. I don't know, but that could be a big shocker. But I really think it's gonna more have something to do with all these things. Whereas in Rey is going to be the key to finding the truth of the ancient stuff that everybody's interested, Luke and Snoke, you know.
Oh, I just figured out what it is. The big news is time travel in Star Wars.
Oh, Jesus.
And Kylo is Snoke, but from the future.
Oh, God.
Chewbacca back to the future. Chewbacca to the future.
No.
That would be Ryan Johnson getting awfully cute. Kyle would love that.
I have to agree. Time travel in Star Wars should not, unless it's in a Force vision, really shouldn't have a place.
Better not have a place.
No, I agree. I hope it's obvious that I was just being facetious.
Oh yeah, I was.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that's got me excited, but also very scared. It's the fork in the road that makes Star Wars just fresh and totally exciting again. Not that it really isn't, but this could be the thing that sets it right down a blazing new path that is just wild with possibilities. Or it's just, wait, what have we done now? Anyway.
I hope it pushes us closer to a conclusion to this story. I've said that before here too. I don't want to see it opening this whole new pathway to, okay, we're starting a new saga 1, 2, and 3 from after the point where Luke and Rey are kind of no longer, or Luke's no longer and Rey's taking over.
You mean this reveal being the springboard to episodes 10, 11, 12?
Or not necessarily. I want to see this saga remain as a whole, but you know, you could start a new saga, whatever it is where they start. Like, I'm having a hard time thinking about the future of Star Wars, really. Like, I want there to be balance in this.
Yeah, that's until you find out this earth-shattering news, and then you're gonna want 10 more movies, Corey.
Well, that's the thing. Like, oh boy, Ryan Johnson, you put yourself on a crucifix, man. One way or another, you're either going to be a savior or crucified.
Well, he'll be both. There's nobody. There'll never be 100% consensus. Anyway, I think my official answer is this is just hype and something being lost in translation. I don't think that we're necessarily in line for the biggest shock in Star Wars history. I just don't know what that could be. That makes sense. That doesn't feel like blowing up the saga.
And it could reveal something like, I took anthropology, could reveal a lot about the culture as well, Just having to throw something like that in there, that's what
or imagine, how shocking would this be? they've got a bigger Death Star.
Star Killer.
Oh, Jesus.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right, so wrapping up here with this hype fest of The Last Jedi's supersonic secret. Could this be something related to Snoke, where we're being misled as to who he really is?
Yeah, like that. I kind of touches back upon what I was kind of mentioning a couple of weeks ago, where, you know, it could possibly be Snoke dropping a truth bomb on both Kylo and Luke, where that was the reason as to why Luke went in search of that first Jedi temple, and that truth compounded with the fact that Vader is Kylo's grandfather made Kylo's transformation to the dark side complete.
Yeah, what if Snoke as like a former Jedi Master, an ancient Jedi Master? Is that bigger than I am your father? Not really, right?
No.
It's pretty
And you
shocking.
gotta remember, the news is not going to be. It's not going to be like canon-driven news. It's not going to be news that's going to shake the foundations of canon in a sense, like that, just to rock like storytelling. It's always been character-driven storytelling. So whatever the big news is, it'll be a shock to the characters. It has to be like relationships, or, you know, that someone's related to someone, or someone's parent or brother or sister. Like, it has to be that. It's not going to be like, oh, you know, this thing from Legends is true. Like, that won't be the shocking news. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think it has to do with ancient Jedi wisdom, and that could very well be connected to. They could tie it all in a neat little bow, you know. Like, Rey's parentage could be connected to all. It could all be one, you know. Like, I don't know. The only other explanation that I came with, and like, Kyle, you just threw something at the wall. Like, is this any more pertinent if you were to find out that the chosen one, as in Anakin, was a creation of the Sith, which a lot of people already speculate at this point?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think we're going back down that road.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
nah, I mean, I'm not wired to think about what they're gonna do if they're gonna make some big giant reveal. I can't figure it out.
well, for the most part, I think in my heart, I want
Oh,
it.
boys. Power just went out at my house.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Podcasting
got battery.
in the dark.
We're good. I got a battery for a bit anyway.
I just got internet though.
What's happening right now? Am I still online?
Oh, you're still here with us, so your internet's working. Or maybe your modem has a battery, a backup battery.
It does. Yeah, it does. You're right.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that battery power on your laptop, and before it hits 0, make sure you save your recording. Okay, so
good point.
We'll move along then. We'll make sure we want to get James in for the whole show here. So MSW, Making Star Wars, had a pretty lengthy report about Luke's gear on Act 2. So just cutting it down briefly, Luke has got a backpack which contains a water bottle, perhaps some kindling wood. He's got a walking stick, a cattle prod type device, and a funky, elaborate compass. And according to the report that Jason over there had written, the walking stick clips to where his lightsaber used to be, which leads to speculation that maybe Luke doesn't even have his lightsaber. Which is interesting.
Dude, I mentioned this like last week. Remember when I was saying that scene where we see the scene of that lightsaber being reconstructed is that Luke possibly doesn't have green anymore, and you know the Rey's saber is obviously called to her. That crystal seems to be hers. That saber really wanted to be with her. I don't see her giving it. Like, you know, she wanted to give it back to him. I don't know if he's gonna accept it. I think he's gonna be the one that's gonna have to relearn stuff, and they're gonna do it together. And he's gonna have to rebuild his own. And I don't know if he'll find another kyber crystal in that temple or whatever it is, but I see it kind of coming down possibly like that. He might have a few leftover things too to build a lightsaber.
Isn't that beneath Luke though? Like if he's that powerful a Jedi Master, should he's still be looking around finding things that younglings are doing, finding crystals?
Well, we still don't know how he got his. We know the first one was given to him. The second one, we don't know how he got it.
He built it.
He built a kyber crystal?
Oh, you mean the crystal? Well,
yeah.
He got it somewhere. Vader told him he constructed a new lightsaber. I assume that entails getting yourself a crystal.
Is there something to do with the fact that we keep talking about them? You know, it's going to be a throwback. They're looking for ancient knowledge. Like the walking stick goes there because that's what the ancient Jedi did before they had lightsaber. They used to, stick fight, and that's the ancient way. So he's trying to, like, he's going through all the steps literally of the ancient Jedi.
That's possible. Like, I wonder, and one of the areas my mind went to is if they have this fight with the Knights of Ren, is Luke going to fight these guys with a walking stick?
And beat them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, just walking stick and force. That'd be cool. Just like Chirrut. But yeah, I'm almost on that page in a bit, just he might not have his saber anymore. There's a good chance of that.
Maybe if he doesn't have it, I would say it was taken from him by Kylo. Like maybe if Luke wasn't
by
at
Kylo,
the academy.
No way.
No, like what I'm thinking is that maybe when the academy was decimated, perhaps Luke wasn't there. And if it's peaceful times, he's teaching his people. Maybe he doesn't carry his lightsaber with him at all times. So Kylo ransacks the place, kills everybody while Luke is away. Walks into Luke's chamber or whatever, says, I'll take this, and leaves Luke with nothing. I don't think he defeated Luke. That's not what I mean. I don't think he defeated Luke and took it from him. I think if it was stolen from Luke.
You would think that would almost be teased in The Force Awakens that he has his saber, but who knows? That's possible too.
And he's weaponless.
I don't know. I'm not buying into that.
Yeah, no, I'm just throwing it out there.
I like it.
Why would he not? Why would he not have it?
I'm intrigued.
Anyways, but I can definitely see Luke now using that walking stick, like you said, Corey, like Chirrut, and just beating down the Knights of Ren with a wooden stick. It would seem that would be one of those things you're like, oh man, like why did you write it this way? Just give him his lightsaber. We want to see the lightsaber.
Yeah, but that's coming when he battles Snoke.
Right.
It's almost like it's the right way to do it in a way, because you get to show his badassedness without showing all he's got. You handicap him in a certain way.
Yeah, it's like he's fighting with one hand tied behind his back the first time he gets out there, and you're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like the top of the cliffs of insanity when he fights with his left hand. Of course, Kyle doesn't get that reference because he's never seen The Princess Bride.
that is correct.
Yeah, but little did you know, I am right-handed.
But it is intriguing. I mean, it could be a way of a different way of exploring the Luke character and showing this massive growth arc of his, where he now doesn't. He's so good he doesn't need a lightsaber. That could be a pretty cool thing. I mean, people will definitely be wishing for green, but like you said, James, if there's a confrontation, we'll get to this. If there's a confrontation with Snoke, that's going to be when he gets green back. Maybe he finds green. Maybe Snoke keeps it as a trophy. Maybe that's why Kylo wants Anakin's lightsaber so bad, so he can add it to that trophy case of Skywalker family heirlooms. I don't know.
Maybe his crystal is on Snoke's finger, and he's just like corrupted it black.
Maybe. Anyway, the main item in this piece on MSW is about this compass that Luke has. So all these pieces in his gear kit, the stick, the cattle prod, the water bottle, the backpack, it makes it sound like Luke is just not sitting on his hands waiting for, just waiting for time to pass or waiting for somebody to show up. sounds like he's got a mission and his own agenda that he's taking care of, and he's on the move. So this compass, which Jason kind of said it was like one of the nicest things he's ever seen as a Star Wars prop. So either Luke just has a really nice one, or compasses in Star Wars are really special. So is it possible that by the time we pick up with Luke, he hasn't found the first Jedi Temple yet? Corey, I'm going to let you run with that one.
That's a good question. I almost see this compass as being almost like a holocron, but not a holocron, and probably being a tool to measure the force in a way, or the direction of the, not measure the force, but the direction, hot or cold almost.
I don't like that at all. I thought that too. I'm like, that's sort of what it seems like it is. And like, I would like it if Finn used that, or Poe, because they're not force sensitive. But Luke?
But usually in Star Wars, always there are two, like even in Rebels, you see like Ezra's trying to get into this temple. He knows it's there.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with needing the force, needing a compass to feel the force?
Maybe he needs someone else to be there, like you need two people to kind of use the device to figure out where you need to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. It's possible. I'm not going to throw it out, but it doesn't sound right to me. What if Act 2 is just so like such a force-driven place that you can't nothing there is natural, so to speak. Like you need some sort of assistance to find your way around Act 2, because that place is it is where it is on the galactic map for a reason, and it's just so powerful in the Force that like a regular Force user could never find their way around that place.
See, that approach makes a lot more sense to me. That's where I would come at it from, like it being, like you said, a lost place, and this being a roadmap to get there, to get to this island. I don't see it being, once he's on the island, okay, he doesn't really necessarily want to get rid of this thing. It's a precious artifact at this point, but it could be useless while it's on that island. It was probably a way of getting him there.
Well, we don't know. There was no indication as to how long he's had it. He could have had it for 30 years. It could be the first thing he finds after Jedi. Or he could have found it on Act 2. And doesn't quite know what to do with it. So we don't know, but...
Or that could have been what Lord Santeca gave him. This will help you on your quest,
Yeah, maybe.
I like the idea that he finds it there a whole lot better than that's how he found the place.
But I like the idea that he scratched and clawed and found Act 2 himself. And then once he got there, it was like it was almost like Dagobah on steroids, where it was just, it blew his mind as to how powerful in the Force that whole entire planet is.
So force laden that he needed it. I guess I could buy into that. I guess.
And like if as a Force user, you try to use your internal compass, the one that you've trained to use your whole life, and it just feels so off. Maybe Act 2 is full of dark and light side of the Force that you can't navigate your way through it. You need this device. I don't know. But it sounds like it's a really important thing.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a Force compass anyhow.
So anyway, Luke's got his own thing going on, and then Rey shows up, and either she's going to help him with what he's doing, or she's going to upend the whole mission and say, for what you're doing needs to stop. The First Order is about to take over the galaxy. We need to get our asses back into the conflict. I'm not sure which side of the fence are you on? Is Rey going to help him complete his quest, or is she going to put his quest on pause?
Well, I think Rey's going to be like coming off hot after everything that happened, and she's still quite young. She doesn't know what's happening to herself. I think she's going to, again, give him the right kick in the ass, but at the same time, like, she's going to be a little too overzealous. Like, Luke's going to tell her to, slow your pace, know your role. Like, you need to do, we need to train. If she gets him to that point, she's going to get him to that point where, okay, well, I'll train you. and like, you know, you have to train properly before we can do this. Like, I could see that going down.
I could see them somehow writing it that it seems like he feels like he's abandoning his quest to help her, but you know, winds up figuring out the things he needs to figure out at the same time. Like they could tie that together as sort of a, you know, a parallel mission kind of thing.
Right.
But I do agree that when she gets there, she's going to have some convincing to do. I don't know if it's that he's going to need to be convinced that he needs help, like that she needs to be involved, or if that he needs to be convinced that what she wants is important because he has his own thing. I'm not sure what the convincing is about.
Yeah, like,
but he's not going to want to help her either way.
Like who needs who more, kind of.
I think by the end they'll need each other, but I think to start, you know, we've mentioned this, and I think most people in fandom are on the same page that Luke is sort of checked out of the petty conflict type thing, and Rey's going to drag him back into it.
It's reached fever pitch, Skywalker.
Yeah, you need to train me, and Luke's going to say, you don't want this, trust me.
But she's like, the Force is awakened, yo.
They named a whole movie after it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the story at MSW went on to say that by the rumor that Jason heard is that by the end of the movie, Luke is going after Snoke and Rey is going after Kylo. So my question is, if he doesn't have a lightsaber, Luke that is, and if, as we discussed last week, Snoke does have one based on that, you know, that toy inventory report, then does Luke get one back, or does he go after Snoke without a lightsaber, knowing that he's going to have to try and fight him in some other way? Like that's crazy talk, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy talk.
Yes.
He's definitely going to have his weapon. So
yeah, I think building lightsabers is going to be something we see in this movie. So maybe he dismantles. We heard a rumor he may dismantle one in front of Rey when they, you know, at some point near the beginning of the movie, and maybe he builds his own as well if he doesn't have one. We don't know that he doesn't have one. Maybe that walking stick is in the place of his lightsaber because, you know, he put it in the cave because he's alone on an island.
Exactly, right? It could be very simple.
True.
He just, yeah,
he
could be a
it.
very, very simple answer. I'm here by myself. What do I need this for right now?
Yeah, he'll sense anyone even before they even hit the stratosphere, you know?
Except he needs a compass.
But I'm sure, again, things are probably amplified there to a great degree.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem to me that if Luke goes after Snoke without a lightsaber, and I can't wait to see how wrong we were proved in like 200 plus days from now. Like Luke is saying, I'm going after Snoke. I don't have a lightsaber, but I've got to stop these guys now. Either he knows that Snoke has his lightsaber, or there's going to be a battle some kind of force power battle, which could be lame.
I definitely.
What do you think of this? There's a bunch of buildup about him like having no lightsaber, and then Snoke just flat out gives him one to battle him when he gets there. Like, here you go, let's do this.
No, I definitely see it more montage, not montage style, but it's got to be either, you know, he takes back his old one, which I don't see being the case again, but having to rebuild one himself, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
I kind of like what you said there, James. Like, imagine, you know, when the whole thing came crashing down, Luke gave up his lightsaber and said, "Take it. I don't want this anymore. I'm out of here." And Snoke said, "Okay, you'll want this one day, and then if you want to come after me, I'll have this waiting for you."
That would kind of be cool too.
Here you go. Let's go. You want this lightsaber back? Here you go. Let's fight. That could be pretty rad.
Or again, just maybe even storing it on his ring finger.
That would be weird.
Not really. Like, oh, it's kind of the same deal, you know. Hey, I got it. It's right here. Come get it. But the whole saber construction rumor adds to all this speculation, in my opinion. I don't think Rey's the one that needs to be constructing a saber unless Luke says it's kind of invalid.
Yoink. Mine.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I will take that.
I don't see him doing that personally, but the only other explanation is, okay, great. You caught a lightsaber, the crystal called to you. Take it apart and rebuild it. That's the only other explanation.
The only?
One of them, I would think. It's got to be... Well, I would think...
When backed into a corner.
I would say it's the most logical, anyhow. It would be Luke telling her, like, hey, okay, you got it, but take it apart with your mind and rebuild it with your mind. Then, that's a good test that I've done it before and whatever. But I'm leaning more toward Luke having to rebuild a saber. That would be great.
I feel like it would take him like 5 seconds.
Yeah, once he's got the crystal in hand. And the parts.
Which would make for a pretty anticlimactic scene. Oh, whatever. I guess they would play it up, but I feel like Luke would just have no issues. It's almost like something he could do in his sleep. Put together a lightsaber. Pfft, come on.
Dude, it's all going to happen so quickly. Like, it's going to be awesome, man. Like, he's going to get his lightsaber. It's going to just get finished. Somehow him and Rey are going to be separated. It's going to start raining on Act 2. And then boom, both of them somehow know that the Knights of Ren and Kylo are coming. And they're separated. Like, it's about to go down. And she's just there in the rain for the first time in her life, never having experienced rain.
That's interesting. So it's unclear. I think it's unclear if they actually meet in The Last Jedi. Snoke and Luke, Rey versus Kylo. I think that one's probably pretty obvious. Or if it's just that's where the story ends in The Last Jedi and picks up in Episode 9. It's a Snoke-Luke confrontation seems like an Episode 9 deal, doesn't it?
I agree. I think this one has more to Kylo, Rey, Luke, leading to Snoke. Snoke can make an appearance and all that and get involved maybe at the end, but in a way where either party is retreating in a sense.
I said Star Wars often does rematches, like, or it's often more than one fight. So, if I think it's possible that they come close to doing battle and maybe even touch lightsabers or just about, and then something stops the fight in 8. So, to set up the showdown in 9. But I wouldn't be surprised if they come close to fighting or even throw a few blows and then, side character gets killed, spaceship blows up, till next time. And then the real showdown is coming in 9.
Yeah, because I feel like Snoke fights once. I don't know that you get Luke and Snoke part 1 and then part 2. I think that's part of... You know what? I'm going to second guess myself. If this movie, if this trilogy ends up being sort of Rey's rise to prominence, you're not going to undercut her by making Luke and Snoke the main event, are you?
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. So Luke and Snoke have to touch blades in this movie, maybe, and then maybe Rey has to beat him in 9 because Snoke killed Luke.
Ooh.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Heartbreaking as it is to say, it makes more sense. Like, Luke is not going to be the hero of this saga. At least not the main hero. It's going to be Rey.
Yeah, everyone's all aboard that. Like, people are afraid, or Lucasfilm is probably afraid to turn Rey into a bad guy at this point. Like, I've speculated, it's very, very, very evident to me in The Force Awakens that Rey is dabbling in the dark side. Like, well, basically when she slashes Kylo's face, how does it go, James, that slash?
Straight across the left eye to middle of the face. I mean right eye. somewhere on the face.
Oh yeah. I'm so confused. Either way, it's quite clear that, when they're saber to saber, it's light versus dark, and she's pretty much a ball of rage at that point. She's still got a lot to learn.
In the novel, she hears a voice saying "kill him." It may have even been the voice of Palpatine. I'm not. I don't quote me there, but she does hear a voice saying "kill him."
No, she heard "do it."
How's this for like storytelling arc? So in 8, we see Luke is so powerful he can beat the Knights of Ren easily with a stick, but then goes to face Snoke, and we think he's like the most powerful Jedi we've ever seen. Snoke throws him his old lightsaber, and then easily defeats him like Kenobi on Maul. Boom, just easily beats the best Jedi we've ever seen.
I mean, ultimately, this is about. And then we're like,
who are we going to rely on? This girl now?
That's what it's about, right? That's great storytelling. That's putting Rey in a bad spot. This movie is going to end in a bad spot for everybody. And leaving Rey alone makes sense. Although we know Mark Hamill's part of Episode 9.
As a Force ghost.
Could be a Force ghost. That's definitely not off the table.
But that would really kind of be crappy in a way, just in the sense that we see him in... He'd really, really, truly take on the... Not even... Well, he'd have a prominent role in this one, you're right. So, okay, so... Force Awakens, he gets about a 10-second role. And then
roughly.
This movie is going to be probably at center stage if he does meet his demise. Yeah, okay. You get a couple of Force Ghost appearances in 9. That would kind of be crappy.
Well, do you feel like they're going to kill off Han, Leia, and Luke in this? Like, do all 3 have to die? Of course, one down already. But do the other 2 have to die? And if maybe the answer now is even pushed a bit further with Carrie Fisher not being here anymore. Do they have to kill Leia?
Exactly. That's the whole dilemma they've been putting. With all the circumstances and variables put into play now, how adversely has it affected the screenplay that they had originally planned from the get-go? Like, what have they done to... Episode 8, they said, has not changed whatsoever, but I think they have treaded back on that now and said that I think it has changed in the sense that they said Leia's going to have a more prominent role in this film as a consequence of what's happened and the tragedy that's happened.
Well, the filming ended before she died.
But they still got all kinds of footage that's not been used, which I think will be incorporated within this film to make her have a more prominent role within this film. They're going to make it work. I don't know I still don't want to even truly think about what they're going to do for episode 9 with her character. I truly do think Luke will live through this movie.
I don't know. It's really tough. I don't know how they're going to handle this, but I think it would be kind of a bummer to kill off the big 3. That's kind of just how I see it. I understand that one's down, one is like, and one of the next 2 are bound to go down.
Yeah, but killing off isn't killing off in Star Wars. Like Obi-Wan got killed off at the beginning of 4, the first ever Star Wars movie, and he's still like one of the biggest, most popular.
That's true.
You consider him like a staple of that trilogy. So I don't know. I think I don't hate it. And I'm not saying I'm at all cheering for them to kill off all of our heroes, but I want them to tell a good story. And this is going to be likely a dark movie that's not going to please everybody, including hardcore fans. So, like, how do you think that people felt when Han got frozen in carbonite and for all they knew, he was dead?
Yep.
So they're going to do something like that to us in more than one way, probably. So we got to be prepared for that. And there's a good chance that Luke and or Leia don't make it through 8.
And we can't get our hopes too high about this big reveal thing either. Like I've always been expecting it, and now that there's this news that just can't can't set the bar too high. You know, it's got to be all realistic, and you got to keep it real, people.
Anyway, I'm very excited for The Last Jedi. These next 200 days. You know what's crazy is that if the original plan had been stuck to, we would be on the eve of episode 8 dropping. Like, we'd be at this point when this podcast drops 2 days away.
Yeah, it's 4 days away right now. That was the original. I saw that a lot on Twitter today. I was like, wow, that's true.
Amazing how, if you reverse engineer all that, how things would have played out. But the way things are going now, it looks like it's going to be a really fresh Star Wars movie, which both excites and scares me. And I think a lot of fans probably feel that way.
All I know is that I can't wait to have another free meal and free tickets.
Oh, really?
Dom, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to James.
Well, what are you losing your bet this time?
What bet? Did I lose any bets? I don't think so.
Well, we're talking in future tense, so I figured I would as well.
Oh, we'll think of something.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I'll put myself under pressure.
All right. So there we go. There's a little bit of Luke talk, and we're bound for more. Let's jump into Ads Edition here and see what Ads has to say for us this week.
Evening, everyone. Another episode almost in the can. Episode 76, is it, perhaps? Seems strange to think of a world without you guys in it. So long may it continue. So my question this week, great job last week, by the way, on the Luke question. And there's a bit of a follow-up this time round. So, reasons for Luke taking himself into exile. What if the thing that he's searching for is actually answers as to who Snoke is? Perhaps Snoke, being very, very old, does not have a huge backstory to him. And so Luke's whole purpose is to actually try and find out who he is and ways to defeat him. I even wondered whether there might have been an earlier, darker prophecy, perhaps, linked maybe to the journals that we see in the trailer. I've always had the impression that Snoke's been on the scene and getting in Kylo's ear throughout the process, and in the same way that Palpatine pulled the wool over everyone's eyes, and it was actually Darth Sidious, that Snoke's done a similar thing, and his true identity has come out. Luke's aware of the fact that he is ancient but doesn't really know much else, and so has gone off to see what he can find out. So at the very least, it allows Corey to have another chat about prophecies. Second question, and more light-hearted, they do say that dogs resemble their owners. So which dogs do you think would fit best with various Star Wars characters? Have a good one, and I will, as always, look forward to listening. Take care. Bye.
There goes Ads once again. Thank you, sir. He mentions a world without Tumbling Saber. I don't remember a world without Tumbling Saber anymore. It's been such a big, huge part of my life for the last, 76 weeks. So, Ads, thanks for the kind words. And guys, here we are, talking about Luke again. We've been really heavy on Luke in the last few weeks, which is fine by me. But here we go with Ads' question for this week. So, James, I'll ask you first. What if Luke is looking for answers as to who Snoke is? What if that's the reason why he's over at the Jedi Temple?
I think that's a good guess. I mean, Corey keeps, and I'm sure he'll remind us again now, but he keeps harping on the idea that it's going to be like ancient Jedi knowledge, and that's, I'd say, the other, another very good guess. And maybe they're related. Maybe something about Snoke's identity, it has to do with ancient Jedi knowledge. But I tend to think that Ads may be onto something there, because there's something about Snoke's backstory that they're really trying to keep us guessing about. And since, your Snoke theory sucks is sort of one of the main themes that came out of the first movie, I could see that secret being important enough to make Luke's quest about that.
Absolutely. Corey, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same. James pointed out, I'm going to harp on it again. Luke is in search of ancient knowledge, possibly bestowed upon him by Snoke. Snoke, kind of incited his search of this ancient knowledge. So what he gains from this temple is maybe still a mystery to Snoke. If you think about that, Snoke tells him something, and then Luke does all the legwork, and then once Luke and Rey come together, Snoke's plan is really coming to fruition, basically. They're unlocking the keys, and then Snoke's kind of swoop in and, this is the truth that we've been looking for. Because we kind of assume that Snoke is ancient as well, right? At this point.
I'm not. I mean, a lot of people think he's as old as the hills. I don't know that I necessarily believe that. I can believe that. I can be persuaded. And for the sake of this question, I will assume that he's thousands of years old. Sure.
Because, frankly, if Snoke wasn't powerful, you need to ask yourself, what would be easier to find? The first Jedi Temple or Snoke? And if Luke was really in the right mindset, I think it would be easier to track down Snoke, even though the First Order's hidden away and whatever. I much think it would be easier to track an army of that magnitude as opposed to something that's just lost among the sands of planets in the galaxy.
So what if Snoke is, Ads alluded to it, what if he's so old that there's no current record of him? The only record of Snoke and what he is or what group he's affiliated with, not First Order, whatever breed of Force user he is, the information pertaining to that is at the First Jedi Temple. I think that's very plausible.
Yeah, definitely. That truth bomb that he drops on Luke. Be yeah, you kind of got it all backwards. You need to go backwards in order to find yourself. And once you do, come meet me and Kylo again, and we'll have a face-to-face.
Yeah, he could very well say something like, you haven't been told the whole truth. In the beginning, there wasn't just the dark and the light. There was also the gray. And then
your favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can hear in my voice my enthusiasm as I
your soul is leaving your body as you speak.
But it is very possible that it's something to that effect. And then Luke says, "What? The gray? I never heard of this." Which again would be something if Yoda never told him about the Bendu, and if Yoda didn't know about the Bendu, etc. But I guess that is possible, no?
Absolutely. My headcanon right now, a long time ago, I suggested that Luke had retreated and went looking for this first temple because the information within would help him defeat Snoke. As a Jedi who was brought up in a traditional, air quotes, traditional Jedi sense, being that, the Jedi that we know from the prequels up until Jedi, these guys are not equipped to defeat Snoke and whatever he is. The Sith, fine, we can handle the Sith, even if it costs us our entire Jedi Order and we have to rebuild from scratch. We can overcome a Sith. But Snoke, don't know how to deal with this guy. I don't know if that's because, Snoke has kind of admitted admiration for Kylo because of his blend of light and dark traits. Does that mean he's somewhat from the gray? If that's the case, maybe. But again, it could just mean that the Jedi were there to protect against the Sith, and they just don't know how to defeat something that isn't Sith, which really weakens the Jedi, I would think.
Yes.
Well, it's also kind of like an architects of their own demise too. I could see Snoke again knowing something, but not knowing the exact full truth either, and that's what he's in search of as well. and using Luke as a pawn, setting Luke on this journey by Luke's own accord. But once Luke finds this truth, like, Snoke's gonna want to know about it as well. Like, I would think, like, oh, this is what you found out on Act 2? Excellent. This is exactly what I need to know, you know?
Well, I would think, I don't know if that works, because Snoke doesn't want Luke coming back at all. He wants him dead.
That's true. That
He
is
doesn't-
true. Like, if he's
I think he doesn't want Luke to find out what's at the temple, because if he's armed, if Luke can adapt as a Jedi and take in this new knowledge, now there's somebody out there who can defeat me.
yeah, that's true. It's like, if that girl reaches him, you know, the new Jedi will arise.
You know, I like the idea of Jedi adding a second level of expertise to their belt to deal with whatever Snoke is. Like, what if Snoke has been so clever over the eons that he, I don't want to say infiltrated the Jedi, but sort of erased his own tracks. Like, there was a record of him at this first temple, or record of him somewhere that at some point ended up being at the first temple that he wasn't able to erase, but he purged everything else.
Makes sense.
over time.
That's
but
what
he knows
scares
that
me
there's just a little bit of info in one book about him somewhere, and if it gets out, if Luke finds it, well, now Snoke's in trouble. That could be what Snoke is hoping to avoid.
That's interesting. It's like, that's it. It's either something that he doesn't want getting out, or something that he wants to ascertain for himself. Which would make him, like, if it were the former, then it would be like he needs to be like uber super old.
Yeah, my God, he would have to be thousands upon thousands of years old.
I don't know. I don't like the idea that he's so old. If he's so old and ancient and powerful, like, I've heard, like, yeah, okay, he was lying low to let Palpatine fall apart, but, like, really, no one heard of him at all, but he's like thousands and thousands of years old and super powerful.
Well,
I don't know.
maybe he's the one all along that Palpatine's talking about someone defying death.
I don't know. I think that was clearly about Plagueis.
Yeah.
Unless he's Plagueis, people have surmised that.
But this could have something. They don't have to bring Plagueis into it, but it could have something to do with former teachers of.
Like, he's Plagueis' master?
Former, like, great grandparent kind of deal.
Maybe. That definitely could be. I mean, I think every
But
possibility
that makes him a
is open.
Sith, though.
But yeah, that does seem to line him up as a Sith. I don't know. I'm pretty firmly entrenched that whatever Snoke is and the Knights of Ren, they're not Sith, and that's what's got the Jedi so up in arms about them, or unable to figure them out. That's just where my head's at. I'm trying not to marry my own headcanon, because it's bound to not be true, and I don't want to be pouty about it later.
No, I agree. I don't want to be like James in the sense that for the Jedi to adapt to this new thing, that they're not going to be Jedi and blah blah blah. But yeah, the Jedi are going to come to their own truth in this movie. I would think there's a new truth to the Force, and I think that's like a theme to this episode.
Well, then I guess to be a good sport, I will be like Corey and say, well, I'll just accept whatever they do.
Not necessarily. Hey, man, I can dump on things.
Now,
Well, there's a first time for everything.
What if, and we could tie this into the conversation we had earlier. Now, they burn Luke's academy to the ground, kill everybody in it, and Luke goes, it's not the Jedi way, but he goes out to try and get revenge, or at least not get revenge, but I gotta stop you guys, because you're clearly not good. And then ends up getting his ass kicked. And then decides to go to the Jedi Temple, and in the process loses his green lightsaber.
No, it could be before. Be like, give me back my lightsaber. You're like, is this your lightsaber? Then they'd all like, okay, I'm adapting this walking stick, and the next time I see you, I'm gonna done kick your butt.
I think I just added another piece to my headcanon. Luke goes after them, gets his butt whooped, and says, "What the hell was that?" Almost like it was almost like a Van Damme movie. You know, where Van Damme's training, and montage scene, he works his way up against a bunch of jobbers. Then he gets to like Tong Po, or I'm forgetting all his super villains. But he gets up to against the guy that he eventually has to beat, and just gets pummeled.
It all depends who's in his corner. You gotta have someone like Luke Gossett Jr. Lionheart! You know?
Did you just title the episode Lionheart?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, for
Lionheart
sure.
Luke?
Ah, I like that. Well, it'd be more like Lionheart Ray. Like, she'd be the one cheering him on, you know? Don't give up, Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, but I agree with what we said before, that ultimately it's not going to be Luke that defeats Snoke. It's going to be Rey. And maybe not by lightsaber duel. Like, maybe she does some other type of sacrifice, or leverages some sort of force magic to squash everything about Snoke and his ways.
It's going to be so interesting. I can't wait to see what they do with this movie, man. Oh,
You know what I don't want to see? And I think, stop me if I've said this before or if we've talked about this, but Luke kills the Knights of Ren. You know, Snoke kills Luke. Rey kills Kylo. It's just Snoke and Rey. She realizes she can't beat him by lightsaber combat, but she like sacrifices herself somehow, and in some way she brings Snoke down with her, and then there's just nothing left. Nobody left on either side. I would find that so crappy. I'd be so bummed out by that.
Yeah, that's a bit...
it all depends how it's written, but it does seem a little predictable.
Well, like that's the
and
balance,
also,
right?
Like,
There's
too gloomy, too.
Yeah, like, here's your balance. There's no good guys, there's no bad guys, and the Force is just balanced. I would find that just so dull.
And it's like counter to everything we sort of learned about the Force through all the movies. Like, it's everywhere and in everything. So what? So just because everyone's dead for this moment, no one can like pick up a book or like feel the Force and learn how to take advantage of it again in the future?
It seems unlikely that, you know, hundreds of trillions of people in the galaxy, that at any given moment there's still going to be millions of Force sensitive people.
Not necessarily. Like, if you look at the galaxy and the universe as like a living thing with the Force within it, like the Force can slowly die out and recede at a point. Like metachlorians, or I don't mean to say it, but whatever, things can slowly dissipate over time, and there could be just kind of like no more at that point. It seems to be getting less and less at this point, I would think. They haven't really done this canon wise, but has there ever been a point since the Force has been discovered 25,000 years ago, or approximately till this point, has there ever been so few since the beginning and now? I mean, there's Luke, there's like a handful. There's just a handful.
We're finding out there's Force sensitive people all over the place. We just found out about Sharut. There's Force sensitive people that we don't know about all over the place. I'm going to call what you just said verbal diarrhea.
Wow.
And I am. The Force isn't going to die, dude. All we know is that the Force exists in every living thing. And unless the universe is dying, what you said really doesn't hold any water.
But Chirrut's not even a Jedi, man. Like, he's just kind of Force sensitive.
No, that's just one example of the idea that just because we're in the movies, we're only following a few Force sensitive people, that there aren't many others. Like, we watched Rebels and then found out about some like half Jedis and stuff.
My real point is, think about it. In all of Jedi-dom and Force usage, like, how many characters have ever really been at the fore like that? Like, you know, during the Clone Wars, we had 10,000 Jedi Knights. In the Knights of the Old Republic, we had 20, 40, 50,000 maybe. You know what I mean? Now there's 5 Force users. I think it might have something to do with the wills of the Force saying, you know, we're shutting things down, we're going to sleep for a bit. And
like, all I know is that if episode 9 ends and there's just nobody left on either side, specifically Luke and Rey are dead, I'll puke in your popcorn, Corey.
Really?
Oh yeah, I would absolutely vomit.
To me, it all depends on how they write it. It could make sense. It sounds a little predictable from right now, but again, it all depends on how they write it. If that's what needs to be done to put it to bed. I've said it before. Like, put it to bed for good. Maybe James said it. Okay, it's a part of all living things. Like, but maybe it's like a new age of man. It's the fourth age of the Force. There really is no more Force. It's up to the inhabitants of that galaxy to kind of fight for themselves instead of having this.
I feel some reflux. It's coming up my esophagus. I'm gonna lose my dinner.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It's up to the people to make their own destinies, kind of, not this whole wills thing. And I think that's what the wills are all about. They teach you the way to guide yourselves in the right direction.
Yeah. No, to be fair, I can't think of like a really good expression to tell you how much I hate that, but I really do hate it.
Oh, jeez. I don't like that at all.
Hey, I'm just throwing it at the wall. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I like it either.
But you're not saying you don't not like it.
Like I said, I want a conclusion to this whole saga.
So say I want this saga to end with balance, and the only way you're going to get that is if everybody's dead.
Not necessarily.
Unless somebody, be it Luke or Rey, just figures it out and says, I'm the last one, and I can hold the light and the dark at once, and I'll just sit here and do that. That
touches upon kind of the Mortis arc in a way.
It's got to end it's got to end uplifting. It can't end on a somber downer. I'm just going to sit here forever.
I'd like it to end on a mystical and uplifting note.
Do you get that if it's just one sad little person? I don't know. It's tough to do, but we're looking way too far ahead here.
Now, the grays as a concept is the only way to balance out the Force. And not as to have one, but just to have all Force users be balanced afterwards. So, like, there's no light or dark, just the gray. Then you have balance. I'm not saying that's what I want, but as a concept, I get, like, why you would go there.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. Like I said, we're jumping the gun here. We're still 200 days away from episode 8. But, yeah. Big times ahead. Ads, I think that answers your first question. And then dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? So, James, as a dog owner, you guys both own dogs. So, which dogs would fit best with certain Star Wars characters? I went about this in a specific way. I wonder how you guys did this. James, what did you do in this one?
Well, I think there's certain people in Star Wars that are dog people. Like, I think Corey associates himself with Han so much because Corey's a super dog person and Han is a dog person. I mean, in fact, Chewie. I don't take this the wrong way, Kyle, but like, he's Han sort of has a pet.
In a way, I have sort of a little note on that, but yeah, continue.
So yeah, I mean, there's certain like, and then so like Tarkin, like maybe a really like arrogant, yappy, tiny dog, but there's just certain guys in the Star Wars universe that aren't dog people, right?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, so my list of dog people was sort of short-ish. So yeah, like Han is the first one that I wrote down. And did you guys assign types of dogs?
I went with like breeds.
Yeah, breeds.
Okay, so Han's a mutt guy for me. It's easy to give like maybe a German Shepherd or something super loyal. But I don't know. He's like I see Han as like a scraggly sort of ruffian, and he needs like a mutt with like a chunk out of one ear, half breed.
No, I 100% agree. It's like your mind wants to go to Malamute because Chewbacca is based on the Malamute. But when I look at Han, I see again it's total mutt. It's that kind of dog that's just looking at you and smiling at you, and longer kind of snout with a mixture of light brown and black, and just him and Han, man.
Total mutt.
See, I the way I did this is I took young Han and old Han and gave them different.
Oh, nice.
So young Han, in my mind, has, and I mean not necessarily Alden Ehrenreich young, but maybe even younger. He's got a husky, a bit of a wild animal, or can be a wild animal, but is also a very dashing dog. It's a handsome animal.
I don't know if you know this about huskies, but they also are like notorious escape artists.
Is that right?
Like they're always running away. Yeah.
I did not know that. But okay, so then that doubly fits.
Yeah.
And then old Han, he has a bull mastiff, which is essentially Chewy.
Even a pug. I could see Han with a pug.
I could see Han like inheriting a pug that he wants no part of and just having a soft spot for it somehow.
Yeah. You got to go that route at one point. Well,
all right, number 2, and it's funny because sorry, Corey, did you want to go next? Because my number 2 is sort of was automatic for me. I wrote it down right away, but like when I showed Em the list, she's like, "Really?" So Princess Leia, I gave a Whippet. No. For some reason, I don't know. I think the Whippet is like pretty like handsome and sophisticated looking, and I don't know, just the right personality for Leia.
I almost gave her a greyhound.
Well, there you go. Very similar.
Very similar dog, but I didn't. I didn't give her that. But Corey, I'll let you talk about some dogs.
I got some good ones, man. When there's one that I'm really hoping you guys are going to be like, bam, that just really just wow. I see it now. Okay, so first of all, it's hard to kind of disassociate astromechs and dogs in a way, you know? Like, the astromechs are the dogs of the GFFA. But first of all, let's put this out there. Ahsoka and a wolf. What? I don't know.
Like Ahsoka and Noke?
Ahsoka. No. Check this out. Tano Nonoke.
I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, I said it to you. I texted it to you. Okay, how's this one, guys? Picture this. Picture Poe Dameron in orange X-Wing regalia kneeling beside his Dalmatian.
That works.
He's got his arm right beside his Dalmatian. No?
That definitely works.
Yeah, that does work.
You see it in your mind's eye, huh?
I do like it. I could see it. It's the fireman, it's sort of like the red suit with the orange suit.
So I went with young and old. So young Leia, and this one's easy. This is for you, everybody in the UK. Young Leia has a corgi, and I can't tell you how bad I want a corgi. I really want a corgi. They're so cute.
Even a corgi mix, man. Like, if you take a lab and a corgi, it's like they retain the features of the animal like a lab, and they'll like the facial features and hair color and all that. But
why are you trying to loophole breeds now?
Oh, dude, corgis. I'm all about the corgi too lately. They just take the essence of the animal and keep it in corgi form. So awesome.
So young Leia has a corgi, but General Leia has a Jack Russell or a Great Dane. I know they're vastly different.
Not an attitude, they're not.
But they're both really smart dogs. Is a Great Dane that smart? I know Jack Russell can be really smart. Jack Russell is
quite smart.
They are. Yeah, they can be really, really smart. I don't know about Great Danes, but there's something about the Great Dane, the way it stands super tall and proud. I could see one standing next to General Leia. That's her guard dog.
No doubt.
Yeah. Kind of almost like Bruce Wayne's dog in that Batman Beyond.
Yeah. And then finally, I have young Luke and old Luke. So young Luke.
Oh, see, I got stuff for Luke too.
All right, well, go ahead.
I was thinking old Luke, just like, I guess because that's where he's at right now in the story. And old Luke to me has a border collie.
I think we're
especially living in on that island, maybe in Ireland, sort of contributed to that, but super, super smart, super trainable, like agility champions. Like if there's going to be a Jedi breed, it's definitely the Border Collie.
James, I think we're going to be on the same page. Old Luke, for me, has an Australian sheepdog.
Very, 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 same page. Similar traits.
Like a very smart dog, very dutiful dog. It'll work itself to the bone. And young Luke has an idiot golden retriever. But Uncle Owen is very much not a dog person. So I don't know if young Luke gets a dog at all.
No.
But if he
he's
did,
been deprived.
If he did, it would maybe he can keep it, and like Aunt Beru has to help Luke sort of butter up Uncle Owen. But he would have a golden retriever, a really stupid one.
I can see that with his hair.
Yeah, they both. That's it. It's the messy mop of golden hair.
If you want a stupid high energy dog, it's definitely the Irish setter. My dad had a pair growing up, and man, the stories.
My dad had an idiot beagle growing up. It was just the dumbest animal he's ever seen in his life.
Snoopy?
Which I thought, right? Like, Snoopy's pretty smart. I don't know if Charles Schultz, like, sort of bent the identity of a beagle to make him smart, or if beagles are actually kind of smart. No idea.
All right, check this one out, man. First, I had to incorporate mall. So, stereotypically, you think you're going to go pit bull, but no, I don't want to.
No, Doberman.
Doberman! You guessed it, James-O. That's right, man. The slender, angular figure of that dog just made a lot more sense with the spike collar. It's all mall. And my thing for Great Dane, Dooku and Great Dane.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Check this out.
And Vader's a Roddy, right?
No, I didn't put Vader. I put Dr. Evazan and a Yappy Chihuahua. So, anyway, that's the reason why he's got death sentences on 12 systems. His Yappy Chihuahua got him in all kinds of trouble. That's why his face is all messed up. He just loves that dog.
I think Thrawn would have a yappy idiot dog, too. That would be like Thrawn's... It would just be the one thing Thrawn couldn't control. Like, he's got this dumb little dog and he can't figure it out.
What's wrong with you, man? Thrawn's a cat guy.
Oh, he probably is, but we're talking about dogs. Have you been paying attention?
Yeah, but you're talking about Thrawn having a dog, and that's just not possible because he's a cat guy.
We're talking about an Earth animal going to the galaxy far, far away. None of this makes sense, but we're doing it, so don't stick cats in there.
Well, you stuck. Thrawn's a cat guy. He should be left out of this. That's my point.
Okay, then.
No, you know what? If I gotta be honest, if Thrawn's gonna pick up an animal, I could see him reaching down and grabbing it by the cat more than a dog.
Oh, I got one. This just came through right now.
Whoa, James.
Guys, check this one out. This just slammed me like a meteor out of the sky, man. Saint Bernard and Callus.
Imperial Callus or jumped over to the Rebellion Callus?
Well,
like Hot Callus is more of a
he's still got the chops,
golden doodle.
Even though now he's got the connection there. Some mustache, but either way, the chops. It's very conducive to. I'm seeing it.
I see Greedo with a poodle.
Nice.
I went stereotypical Leia poodle, but
no. Shoot, that tuft of head would bother her. Tuft of hair.
That's it. I got nothing left on that regard. I came up with my hard hitters were all the.
I did 3PO as the Chihuahua Yappy style dog.
Well, I kind of went with the tough talking guy. You know, someone who's really tough, just like that crazy dog. That's all those dogs got, man. I got a big mouth. Like, leave me alone. Like, you know, like. They even scare big dogs. They're like, yo, I want nothing to do with that little rat.
Yeah, I can imagine 3PO being the type that has to go chase a dog around that's constantly peeing on the floor.
Yeah, that sounds like a Shih Tzu to me.
A trail of destruction behind this tiny little dog. And C-3PO is just in pure panic mode all the time.
Speaking of 3PO, we should remind everybody to hit the Kickstarter that Candido's got going.
We did.
Okay, just every time I think 3PO, I think Candido. I mean, doesn't everybody?
So true. It's like he loves everything about 3PO so much. He's such an iconic
Candido's name
character.
comes up later. I've got him written down for another answer later too.
Oh man. Okay, so Jabba. What's Jabba's dog?
It's like that weird little rat thing. What's his name?
Salacious Crumb.
Yeah, Salacious is his dog. It's like, you ever see those contests for like world's ugliest dog?
Oh, it's like a Chinese hairless.
Yeah, it often looks like Salacious a little bit.
Yeah,
that's true.
they have both the weirdest over and under bites. Very cute.
unsettling.
It's okay. Those are the kind of dogs you love more because, they just
Nobody
love
else
you.
will.
True, but they'll love you unconditionally.
Yeah, maybe.
Dogs are awesome.
Do a Google image search for ugliest dog, and wow, just wow. It's something.
You feel bad.
Some of these would be hard to love.
All right, ads. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, sir. I didn't know how.
Always the man.
Always the man. Now let's check out Katie's question this week. And so Katie writes, if you could pick any two characters in the Star Wars universe to throw down, who would you pick? I would like to see Darth Vader go head-to-head with Darth Maul, Poe Dameron against Boba Fett, R2 against Chopper. By the way, you can pick any characters from the films, TV shows, books, games, etc. So Corey, who's on your list of fights that you want to see?
Do we get one kick at the can here, or are we going to go around a bit?
We can go around.
I'll start with a heavy hitter, Dooku Maul.
You want to see
What?
Dooku versus Maul?
Yeah, I think that would have been a really nice one.
Yeah, that
You know,
would have
both
been a good fight.
The apprentices of Sidious.
No, that would be a cool fight. James, who you got?
My first one would be like a fist fight, no weapons, slug match, 3PO, Carlos Candido.
Dude,
I told you I had his name written down again.
how could that's like the scene in Office Space of them destroying the fax machine.
Yeah, you're right. C-3PO would be tiny little bits, just nuts and bolts left.
Yeah, you're doing fan service to Carlo.
Carlos would be using C-3PO to beat all the other C-3PO units out there. I want to see for real this time. I want to see Maul versus Ahsoka. They touched on it very briefly in the Ahsoka novel. And there's a whole storyline prepped for Ahsoka post Clone Wars about the siege on Mandalore.
Dude, we see it in Twilight.
Yeah, I know, but really, it wasn't a very long fight. I want to see a serious throwdown between the two with no other distractions involved.
Really, I think that was that, man. Like, Ahsoka played a role there and was like, "Here, deal with Kanan."
I want to see the two of them go at it for a while.
In that vein, I wrote down that I'd like to see young, angry Obi-Wan face Maul.
Wonder how that would turn out.
Probably not well, but still.
Entertaining to watch. Lots of
It
flair.
would turn out for some guy that turns into a spider.
I think you're being too obvious now, Corey.
Maul comes up on my list way too many times. Picture this: Maul versus Anakin from Attack of the Clones. Like Anakin, Attack of the Clones, Anakin versus Maul.
I think Anakin's in trouble.
Yeah, me too. Like, just not as disciplined in the dark arts. Just so confused, and being a teenager, he might get the cross-check to the nose.
Well, he'd lose limbs, that's for sure.
Just takes one shot. You never know, eh?
Hey, James, who's next on your list?
I haven't given a serious answer yet, so I will. I would like to see current Luke, who we don't know what his power levels are like, versus, and don't take this the wrong way, but Flippy in his prime Yoda. Like, I'd like to see the two masters duke it out. Maybe even not to the death, but like in some sort of, Jedi sparring ritual.
Like
Yeah.
the Matrix.
That's not unfair.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty cool. If
Green
only
versus green.
if only to see Luke stand in there against the most powerful of them all, right?
But yeah, and just to see, like, we don't know where like I said, where he's at, but is he up there with Yoda now? And that would let us know.
Absolutely. See, I might be the one loopholing this here. So, in my mind, they don't all have to be lightsaber fights or force magic fights or lightsaber fights. Like, I want to see the power struggle between Palpatine and Plagueis. Was it a very passive aggressive thing that played out in these like backroom dealings, or was it a direct confrontation? I don't know, but I want to see it. I hope we get to see some of it someday.
That'd be interesting.
You guys got any more?
I got a few more on the list, but some of them don't need to be discussed. I tried to incorporate Kanan and Ezra versus Kanan versus Qui-Gon.
Yeah. I got another fist fight.
Go for it.
I'd like to see Zeb just pound the heck out of Jar Jar.
Oh.
Isn't Jar Jar like too Gumby-ish?
Yeah, he'd be like Homer in the boxing ring.
Once you get if he gets a hold of one of those eyeballs, though.
Yeah, those are very badly placed.
Yeah, someone's in trouble. What about Ezra versus Empire Luke? Prior to meeting Vader and
They're
Yoda.
very similar, right? Oh, prior to meeting Yoda?
Yeah.
Oh, Luke's done.
Which Ezra? Yeah.
Like Ezra as we know him now versus
Luke's toast.
What about this? Sabine, Boba Fett.
Well, it's hard to go against Boba Fett's reputation, but we've seen so much more of Sabine, and she's not to be trifled with.
Yeah, she's like the mother of Mandalore almost at this point.
Yeah, Sabine's a total ass kicker. I don't know. That's a good one.
What about Sabine versus Snake Eyes?
Ooh. Kanan versus Snake Eyes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Maz versus Yaddle in a Jello fight. I know James
is it for Chewie or not for Chewie?
I know James is definitely all in on this one.
I don't want to even answer.
A mud fight or a Jello fight, James?
Can we make it a like Crisco fight, like lard?
Sure.
Slippery.
And one that I'm actually hopeful that we'll see this. I'm hoping to see Thrawn versus Saw. If they go mano a mano, great. If not, I'd like to see, Saw's totally chaotic, violent group of extremists going up against methodical Thrawn. I think it's the opposites attracting here, and I hope they collide.
No, I like that a lot. I think Thrawn's a touchy subject for Lucasfilm at this point. What are they going to do with this character moving forward? Are they going to want to continue to write books and write him into literature, knowing what's already been done? I would think this makes a perfect, among many other characters, as a part of Rebels ending, makes perfect sense to see Saw make some kind of crazy radical sacrifice in order to help dispatch Thrawn, leading to the fact that where he has to breathe through a machine and have half a body.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have time to develop that rivalry with only 15 episodes.
Well, it doesn't even need to be a rivalry, to be honest, at this point. Like, put it this way. We seen Saw in Rebels. He was a full-fledged human being. We see him not 2 years later, or maybe even a year later in the movie.
And he's wrecked.
He's half robot. Like, his waist down is gone from what we gather.
Yeah,
Like-
he's a wreck. He's finished.
So, the perfect place to finish that story would be within Rebels. And that doesn't need to be anywhere. It would be one of the main stories, but it definitely doesn't need to be at the forefront for that to be told in that series.
I guess we'll find out. I would just, yeah, even if you have Saw and his group just take a run at Thrawn, so you guys can't handle this guy because you're not prepared to go. You're not prepared to go far enough to stop the Empire. Watch what we're going to do to this Thrawn guy, and maybe they get him, maybe they don't. But it could lead to Saw becoming half of the man he used to be.
Yeah, it's one of those Sato moments.
Have we not said Kylo versus Rey just because it's so obvious it's going to happen?
I would think so.
I've been asking this a lot, James. What do you think about this, James? The end of this movie, Kylo just gets dumped on by Snoke. Like, he's the guy at the end of Empire. It's Luke hanging on in Bespin, like, someone help me. What if that's Kylo and they go back for him?
Let him hang.
Yeah, it could be.
Let him hang.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does get redeemed and after, like, if what I said before holds any kind of truth, and like, so Luke loses to Snoke and Rey's got to beat him. Like, it's not Rey alone. Like, Rey and maybe Kylo have to team up to face Snoke.
Yeah, like I see Snoke really backstabbing Kylo. Like, him being like,
Could be, man.
Like, I got the girl now that wields the Excalibur or Skywalker saber. I don't need you anymore, Kylo. And then Rey ending up being too strong she's able to resist Snoke's ways and escape at the last minute. Maybe Luke goes with Snoke by some weird thing and Kylo gets dumped on Rey.
The biggest problem I have with Kylo turning good is that Kylo doesn't want to be good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That could be a part of Part 9, is that, he's like, I need help, like, help me. Like my master dumped me. And then Luke's out of the equation now, so both the kids are kind of on their own. Like, Snoke's either captured Luke. I see it more capture than, like, persuading Luke to come with him. But it could be, the old guys versus the young people at that point.
Well, it wouldn't feel very natural to me for Kylo, who to this point has worked so hard to be bad. I guess you can tell he's fighting it, but he's trying so hard to be bad. Only at the end of the movie, for him to go, you know what? I'm gonna be good.
I don't know. It could be the reverse storyline of what they did to Luke. If they lied to Kylo,
exactly, it's Snoke
in order
manipulating
to get him to chase that goal, that carrot, and he finds out the truth about what Vader was, or Vader's redemption, or who knows.
And Snoke can even tell him, like, flat out, like, yeah, like, I don't need you anymore. Like, it's her I'm after. Like, he'd be like, what? What do you mean? Like, he'd be like, I've been lied to, I've been manipulated, I killed my father. Like, he'd be all over the place.
Well, okay, we won't spend too much time on this, but if Snoke says, yeah, I've been lying to you this whole time, I'm actually going to use Rey because she's better than you, and Kylo goes, what? And he goes, let's say he goes and kills Snoke. That doesn't necessarily make Kylo good. Just because he killed him, he would have killed him out of rage, and he'd kill him, and he'd still be full of rage.
I'd see him not killing him in this movie, and Kylo again being left. Kylo, the one being left in lurches. Kylo, the one being left in the gutter and dumped to the side. And it's the good guy's choice to either, leave them in the gutter where he belongs, or pick him up and give him salvation, kind of.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I hate Kylo Ren. I want him to rot in the element of dark forever. All right, Katie. Sorry for the tangent there. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, follow Katie at Katie with 3 E's 120 on Twitter. And guys, before we sign off, just really quickly, if we can, I know when we say we'll do something quickly, we take half an hour to do it, but this is our last podcast before A New Hope turns 40. So why don't we just take a couple minutes here to discuss the film, which is pretty much the bedrock upon which all of this is built, and not only the ongoing movies, but all of this fandom and podcasting as well. Like this movie has propped up so much stuff. So I think maybe we should spend a couple minutes paying a little tribute to A New Hope. So James.
Yeah, James, run with this one.
I don't know. How has this movie struck such a chord and endured and thrived for so long?
I think because it does on a previously unset stage, like that space sort of genre, space epic hadn't really been done that way before. They told the story we like to hear. It's like the everyman story, and that's the one we keep coming back to. Like it's a Tolkien fan here can say that pretty confidently. We like the idea of like the simple, everyday, relatable guy being the big hero through courage and through birthright and through magic and all this really cool stuff. It's still just the story of like someone we could all sort of be or want to be. It's not Han who's super cool and has all the charisma. It's not Poe who's got all the skills. It's Luke who, I don't know, everybody could be 17-year-old Luke sort of when they watch that movie. And I think that's why we all got on board right from the beginning.
It's just so many identifiable themes that growing up in school reading about Greek mythology, that's a really cool story. And then you see so much of that echoed in Star Wars, and yeah, no wonder that the hook gets sunk so deeply. Corey, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, definitely. From what you said, mythos, it's like a melding of religions. There's like total religious overtones. There's stuff that's mythological. There's a lot of mythological themes. So a combination of those things with it's a melding of the new and the old all at once. Like the movie, when you watch it, it's the future, but it's the past. You know what I mean? So that made it very familiar to viewers in a way when you look at it like that. Like, even though it's a galaxy far, far away, there's so many things that's like, wow, it's like it touches upon our own past, but it looks so far forward into the future. There's so many things this movie means to me. We've talked about it on this podcast about, watching it with our cousins for the first time, and then just rewatching it back in, wow, 84?
Dozens, hundreds of times at this point.
But even people who don't like it, whatever, I don't understand it. But if you're a film lover,
I'm reading between the lines, and what you're saying is it's really not fine. But
yeah, well, what I'm saying is that there's a difference. Okay, like I can understand if you're someone who really actually does love film, and you just don't like it. A film lover would still appreciate this film from a technological standpoint, in the sense that special effects, even storyline, like what they did, like they opened doors for studios, writers, directors to really broaden things. Like this movie's crazy when you really look at it, like space dogs and goldenrods. Like I've said it before, man, like there's so much crazy stuff in this movie. So like George can look back on this in the sense that, all these crazy achievements that this movie was a catalyst to, a genesis of, from a technological and creative and digital almost standpoint. He can look back here and say something like, "We stand here amidst my achievements, not yours." Like, he can look back on all other film directors and almost say that in a sense, because he just went that deep with this movie and took such a big chance. So anyone who really appreciates movies and film, can appreciate that fact in the least, even if they don't like the story.
Oh, it was just so cool looking, and the fate of an entire galaxy being tied up in the courageous, simple actions of relatable characters. Like,
yeah, the farm boy,
everybody's
the
in.
princess, and the scoundrel.
Yeah, like yeah, 3 unlikely people overthrowing a government. Like, what a crazy story. But it was
so
taking
typical.
things that we knew,
Exactly.
taking things that making them look crazy. And like you said, Corey, there's a lot of crazy looking things in A New Hope, but yet they still kind of looked believable. Like a bantha, I think, is a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's an elephant under there, but throw some hair on it, and it's a different kind of woolly mammoth. Like, we look at it and go, I buy that. It looks real to me. I can see that being a part of my world.
Well, just even if you think about it, the whole planet Tatooine, like, they're struggling just to survive on this desert planet. They're farmers. There's nothing elegant or elaborate about living there, even though there is this whole greater universe and this galactic space travel going on in this galactic empire. These people are still very much, it's a familiar thing to us, something that the viewer can relate to.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Lucas, for all the stress and anxiety he put up with while making this movie, for I think it was like $11 or $13 million budget at the time.
Wasn't it 10?
Maybe. Whatever it was, it worked. He hit everything right. Yeah, it seemed like Lucas just struck gold with every decision, every design idea, every costume, every choice he made just made the movie better. I can't imagine how they could improve that movie.
Dude, if they did not have a gonk droid within this movie, like, the movie would have just flopped.
That's probably true.
That's all you, Kian.
I mean, that's to say nothing of the music. That just, geez. I mean, we could spend a whole episode talking about the music easily, but it goes without saying that John Williams added so much to the whole thing, and I think the toys play an underrated part of this. It's the thing that every kid got their hands on these toys at a very impressionable age.
The timing of it was good. Marketing of toys to go along with popular kids movies and stuff. The timing was really good.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it predates home video, and so if you were going to relive these adventures, you were going to do it with the toys, and that's just another way for having it become part of your DNA. Is just over and over playing with it and just falling in love with the whole galaxy based on your own adventures.
It really locks it home for me too. I don't know if you guys remember this, but or were you fans? But that 70s show?
Of course, huge fan.
Huge fan. Eric's huge on Star Wars. Huge. So finally he takes Red. Red's like not interested. Red's like a guy from like the Korean War, He's not interested whatsoever in Star Wars, but once Eric drags him there and sees it, like, you have the inner monologue of their thoughts, and like Red's like, this kicks ass. Basically, like when you see these explosions on screen for the first time, it's like, whoa, man.
Yeah, no, awesome looking movie for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's the movie that just it was the floodgates opening for so much. And look at guys today, anybody who's directing in Hollywood today, ask them what they feel about that movie, and they just start frothing at the mouth. They can't contain themselves. Rian Johnson, huge fan. Gareth Edwards, these guys are all devoted fans who, I don't know if it's an exaggeration to say that without that movie, these guys aren't in that career. I don't know if that's really a stretch.
Yeah, it's all about time continuum.
That might be your second Back to the Future reference tonight.
That's fine.
Or third. Perhaps even your third.
It's okay.
Anyway, happy birthday, A New Hope. And with that, we draw episode 76 to a close. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
76, good year.
It was a pretty good year. The Habs won the cup. Yeah, it was good times, man.
Is that the year you were born, Jimmy?
He might be talking to you, Kyle. I'm not sure.
I don't know who he's talking to anymore. All right, boys. I'm out of here. We're going to get out of this podcast. And thank everybody for listening to episode 76. If you want to get in touch with the guys between shows, Corey, where can they find you?
Chop Rules with a Z.
And James, you can be found at?
Yeah, I'm still at Jimmy Tommy Bombadil 1.
And I'm at Tumbling Saber on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Come check us out. We'd love to chat Star Wars with you on any of these platforms. And check out StarWarsCommonwealth.com and go check out the fine partners of our podcasting network. Still doing great work. It's I'm a broken record saying so, but everybody's just really doing the Lord's work right now. And if you can, head over to iTunes. Be sure to leave us a review. We'll read it on the show. And at the same time, you'll be helping us get some little bit of extra exposure to grow our audience and grow the show. And lastly, again, don't forget, CarlosCandido.com. Hit up his Kickstarter program and help get his music. You hear it in the background here right now. You want to hear more of that? You want to go to Kickstarter, look up Carlos Candido, and make a pledge. Get yourself a cool reward in the process.
Please do.
Until Journals of the Willing later this week with Steve and I, have yourselves a good one, and we'll talk later.
Good night.
Watching you walking away from me. Were you watching me? Was it just a dream? Just